Man.
Saudi Arabia went crazy with the transfer. But we had, how many people? Neymar,
Benzema,
second best to that. Benzema.
Mane, Mahrez, Mondi, Bono,
Ugh.
Salah might now.
Ugh.
Nah, it's unbelievable, bro. There's more players, too, that we haven't named there.
Mahrez, St. Maximin.
Yeah, St. Maximin as well, too.
That's a lot going on.
It's unbelievable. Right after Ronaldo just went, too. So this is crazy. And all the contracts are ridiculous. Ridiculous.
They're all getting bread.
Bro. Yeah.
So what's going on? Is 5ASIDE going to Saudi Arabia too?
Yes.
Are we
Who says
transferring?
no?
For sure.
Who
Yeah?
says no?
For sure. I have a message, though, for some fan. I do. I have a message to say.
Tony Kroos?
Go ahead.
Not for Tony. We'll discuss Tony after.
Nah,
But also Tony, but we'll discuss him after.
All right, look in the camera, bro.
To the camera.
Let's go.
So I open my phone every day, right? And every day a new Saudi player has joined the league. And every day in the comments, someone
New
is saying,
player
oh,
has joined the Saudi league.
yes, every day a new player has joined the Saudi league. Every time I open my phone. Every time I open the comments, people are saying, oh, football is dead, football is finished, this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I grew up an AC Milan fan. My brother's a Napoli fan. People in my family are Ajax fans and stuff. Growing up, it has never been strange for me to see players be signed for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars and taken from my club and brought to England, which is the Prem. Because the Prem has always had the money to take players. That's in my lifetime. And no one has ever said that football was dead when players left the Serie A or the Netherlands or France and went to the Prem, or Spain and went to the Prem.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the power has shifted and players are leaving the Prem and going to Saudi, football is dead. What is dead about it? If the power structure has shifted and things are now different and there's a new league on top which has more buying power, it doesn't mean that football is dead. It just means you have to buy a new TV subscription and watch a different league.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's just weird to like think that, oh, because a player now leaves league like the Prem and goes to the Saudi league for a lot of money, we're saying, oh, this player's ambitions are wrong, or this player is wrong for doing what they're doing, or this player shouldn't be thinking about this. First of all, it is my opinion that in 2 years, these players will be playing in the Champions League. So they'll be playing in the top league and playing Champions League football and making way more money than they would ever have been able to make in their lives.
And say that clearly for them. You're saying the Saudi league.
Yeah, no, for me, it is like super, it is super, super possible that in 2 years,
They're already bidding for it.
the Saudi league pays enough money to get at least 3 or 4 of their clubs in the Champions League regularly, which means that any player has no excuse now. Like, if you want to make the money that you want to make, go. If you want to play top level football, go. If you want to play in the top European championship, go. So at this point, football is not dead. It just means the power structure has shifted.
And it's
That's
also
me.
you might as well. They're looking at it as, especially with trying to get that Champions League bid. You might as well do it now because the money is here now.
Yes.
The money that they're playing right now is going to decrease. Like, you're not always going to be throwing these big bags at these players.
And they won't
So
have to.
If you see the vision and you believe in a vision, you might as well like get an in right now.
You're pretty much getting a trailblazer tax.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because after that, they don't have to pay up.
For those who don't understand, like, it is, I think I can speak for this podcast when I say that, like, there is a precedent for Asian clubs to be playing in the Champions League already. Mm-hmm. Israeli clubs have played in the Champions League due to political reasons, and we've seen Qatar play in the Gold Cup, which is a North American tournament, because they have a lot of money and they're able to pay their way in. That's just how it works. So for the Saudi League to bid and to take their clubs and bring them to the Champions League and just pay for a wild card spot, at the end of the day, FIFA, UEFA, whatever, is not going to say no to an extra 20, 30 million to get a club in. Especially if that club has top players on it. There's no reason to say no.
And the Champions League, I'm pretty sure, is about to expand to 48 teams already.
Exactly. So I was talking to like someone who kind of like helps with agents and stuff, and he manages a young player who was considering moving to the Saudi League. But this player in his mind was like, you know, growing up, I had ambitions to play top level football, to play Champions League football. Am I kind of like denying my childhood dreams, like my 10, 15, 16-year-old self, that dream by joining the Saudi League? In 2 years, by the time the Saudi League has their clubs in the Champions League, at that point, that one single reason why that one player didn't want to go to the Saudi League evaporates.
Yeah.
The power structure changes.
To your point, what I'm interested in is there actually already is an Asians Champions League.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia's league is getting better. We know Ronaldo and them boys are going to be in it. And seeing now if Saudi Arabia is able to really have permanent success from this, do we see countries like Qatar, Japan China being able to up their league so that the Asian Champions League is now just another separate high-level Champions League and also doesn't have to have the travel burden that teams from there having to go to Europe would be.
Yeah.
Because the problem is, then what if Japan hops on this wave? And I know they tried it first. They had, I think, Xavi played part of his career. Maybe it's Iniesta, sorry, excuse me. It's like now the travel just becomes insane.
Yeah.
But if the Asian Champions League can slowly really establish, I also think then it would be longer term success for Asian football and then really start bringing up the youth of those players too and not just having to constantly rely on outbidding to buy these players.
But also,
so that's what I would like to see happen.
Yo, I just feel like football fans, bro, this is just a fact. Football fans don't like change.
Yeah,
they just do not like change.
Eurocentric.
It's very Eurocentric.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're most Premier League fans, their whole football experience revolves around the Premier League, and they don't value
even
much else outside of that.
Yeah.
They don't care if Premier League fans, they don't care if Premier League teams are not winning the Champions League. They don't care about none of that. They still see it as this is the biggest league in the world. Anything else outside of that is crap. It don't matter. And that's not like
I wish we had someone on this pod to make the argument for why football is dead. I don't understand.
It's not, and that's the thing. I think the idea is it's not actually dead. They just don't like change, and anything that seems to be changing their comfort as the comfort of their experience as football fans is like a threat.
Yeah.
So now they feel like, this can't be happening.
The irony too.
These big players are going away. Like they get anxious damn near.
It's
like,
also because I think
seek therapists, man.
Definitely. But my thing is that football also is the history of football is so important to the game.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's hard to let go of because there's a lot of beautiful narratives. There's a lot of repetition. You know, even for me, it's not that football is dead, but it's like, okay, as you said, like if you have the aspirations to be in the Champions League for a certain team, it's kind of hard to be on the new team that's in this space unless you take on that trailblazer role, which some people are aspiring to do.
That's an uncomfortable role, though.
That's what I'm saying.
To that point, I was saying, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of it is just awareness too.
Yeah,
like we had. I speak for myself. I had zero knowledge of the Saudi Pro League before Ronaldo.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
One, due to the location I live in. Yep. Two, due to broadcasting rights. And three, due to the lack of like quote unquote competition. Like we don't know that they compete. We don't see them competing against the quote unquote big teams in the world. Yep. And so as a casual fan, if you see all these players going to a league where you know you can't watch the games or you don't have easy access to watch the games, you don't know what type of like competition is going on over there, and you just see the big headlines of so-and-so got paid $500 million to go there, it sounds like football is dead. Like, it sounds like all your favorite athletes, instead of going to a team like Josh said, based on the club history, the tradition, they're going there because of this big paycheck. It sounds like, the sport that I grew up loving because it's a beautiful game, it's just becoming about money, and it's just becoming about it's less about history.
Yeah, it's been about money. Always been about money, but at the end of the day, I think that like
to a degree, though.
2 points. Yeah. 2 points. One, the player who is whose dreams and aspirations since they were a kid was to play in the Champions League. Like at the end of the day, again, commit to that. If you really want to commit to that and you won't feel bad if you miss out on the bag, commit to that.
Facts.
Right?
Yep.
Don't worry about the money.
Yep.
If that is your dream, really commit to it. Don't second guess yourself and don't feel bad afterwards if you're like, damn, I could have gotten more money. Because take care of your priorities. Yeah. Whatever is best for you, whatever is that dream that you want to fulfill that's going to complete you, do that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the players moving away to other leagues is better for football because it spreads out the talent.
Fact.
And it inspires more talents to go to different places. Yeah. And it sets a precedent because hopefully one day African clubs can start getting big investment too.
On Seb's shirt, yeah.
They get more investments.
Yeah.
The league gets better. Players from all over the world get more opportunities. And guess what? It also helps the economy of football because you're bringing more jobs outside of just the athletes.
Of course.
To the football world. So you're helping in so many different ways. Yeah. I think it's setting a good precedent. I think that, of course, it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. And football fans, you're not wrong for being uncomfortable. Yep. But try to see the cup as half full and see the good in it and not just shit on the whole idea of Saudi leagues buying players because it's not all bad.
Yeah, my last thing too is the irony of teams like Man City and Newcastle that are owned by money from the same part of the world.
Yeah.
They can use it there to buy their Champions League or buy all these players to come to England. But when it's people in those countries doing it in their own country instead of England, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
This has been around, bro.
Some people also still don't jack Man City type shit though.
No, of course, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I was gonna say also we hear of
But
football.
they supported like Man City winning the Champions League. Like, oh, England got another
lying.
Champions League winner, but it,
Yeah.
We speak of fans' criticism and their opinions on football, but one thing that you don't see a lot is players giving their opinions on these situations, and like basically we don't see a lot of players pocket watching. We don't see these dudes talking about each other's salaries.
Hey, do we?
Not a lot.
Do we?
Not a lot. But recently, one more notable case, and I know Seb feels a type of way about this, so I'm gonna let you expand on it a little bit more. But to set it up, 21-year-old Spanish player Gabri Vega just recently made the transfer again at 21 years old to the Saudi Pro League to Al Ahly. Ahly, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
And one Real Madrid veteran
who doesn't start on the team anymore.
Tony
We ain't worried
Cruz.
about you, Tony.
Tony Cruz had some words under Fabrizio Romano's post about that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Fabrizio Romano posts the here we go for Gabri Vega to be joining Al Ahly, right? Tony Cruz comments under the post one single word. He comments the word embarrassing. Let me explain something to you, Tony.
And then,
Tony, let me explain something.
what does he do afterwards?
Oh, wow. Facts. And then he deletes the comment a few hours later, which makes it even worse, by the way. So I don't know how many people perhaps have the same morals or the same upbringing that I have and that the people on this podcast have, right? But as a grown man who plays and exists in the same industry as another grown man, who raised you?
Tell them.
Who raised you
Good question.
Tell them.
to wake up one morning and comment on another person making money to support his family? I understand that you're a German and you have these principles, these fake morals that you people like to stand by that give you guys this moral high ground. But if a 21-year-old person is making enough money to support not just his immediate family, but his cousins and the people he grew up with and his teacher and the people that cleaned the house that he grew up in and the people that did this and did that and did this and did that.
Talk to
and
him.
he can give to every single person
Talk to him.
5K, 10K here and build schools and help this and help that. You're going to comment the word embarrassing? The only thing that's embarrassing is you doing that as a 36-year-old person. And this is not the first time Tony Cruz has done stupid shit like this.
Can I speak on some?
Please, go ahead.
So Tony Kroos, who is like such a Real Madrid legend, bro, one of the best midfielders ever. But when Jude got signed, he just said like, oh, I don't remember the exact quote. We could potentially find it, but he's pretty much saying is like, well, we'll kind of see how it goes. And now Jude is our best player this season already.
He was upset
4
about
goals
how
and an
much he was
assist.
making too.
And it's just like, bro, he's a young player coming to your team who's going there to learn from players like you. Now, Luka Modric ain't said shit like that. None of the other legends on the team said shit like that.
People love
so he's
Luka.
just, oh, yeah. everyone
Rodrigo
loves-
called Luca his daddy.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro.
I'm dead ass.
Yeah, not like that. But nah, so he just be saying some bozo comment, and now he's on our bench.
That's what was.
I have the quote for you right
All right,
there.
what's the quote?
Oh, sorry. Hold on, let
Let's
me
zoom in here.
turn it.
Yeah, Bellingham is a top player who a lot of teams wanted with a mixture of his quality and his age. Cruz said, I have a lot of faith in those responsible at the club. If Real Madrid have spent so much, I hope it's a good signing for us. If he does well at Dortmund, we can say it's a good signing. If not, it isn't.
Why are
But
you
you should
talking
just-
about the
what a
spending
weird
though?
thing to
Like,
say.
You
why?
should be welcoming him with
What a
the most
weird thing
open
to say.
arms. With the most
What a
open arms.
weird
For
thing
me,
to
it's
say.
the if
And he's
Real
been-
Madrid have spent so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you worried
Yeah,
about
What a
that,
petty
bro?
weird thing to say.
Why
What
are
a
you
petty
worried
guy.
about that?
You
What
didn't
a
say it
petty
about
guy.
Hazard either. So
He's
it's like,
critical. He's a very critical person.
he is very critical. And I will say
I would hate to be
culturally,
his son.
culturally, Germans and Dutch have very different delivery and quote unquote honesty with how they
course,
say
of
things.
course.
So I'm gonna give a little bit of just a little bit of cultural.
I'm not giving him
Hold on,
nothing.
hold on.
He sounds
Well,
like
I'm
a
saying-
Facebook girl.
No, but then it's like, bro, relax. Then he had the Obama Yang thing here too. He just has a lot of comments.
Yeah. I can explain the Aubameyang thing too as well.
Critical, bro.
After
So-
this, so we've spent enough time.
I know, yeah. We'll cut it after this.
I'm not giving
But
him nothing.
One time when Aubameyang was with Dortmund, we'll put the photo up on the screen here. He celebrated by putting on a Spider-Man mask, and he used to actually put on masks a lot. I think he put on a Black Panther mask as
Yeah,
well.
it was his thing.
So it was his thing, right? Aubameyang puts on the mask, celebrates. Cruz, unprompted, no one asked him. He writes it in his book. He goes, Aubameyang once celebrated and took out a mask. That's where it ends with me. I don't think that's a good role model. What nonsense, says Tony Cruz.
Boring ass culture, bro.
That's where it ends with you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
the
that's
line.
where
That's
it
the
ends
line.
with you.
Right, that's the line. Aubameyang responds by saying, by the way, does this Tony Cruz guy have kids? Just to remember, I did it for my son a few times, and I will do it again. I wish you to have kids one day and make them happy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Literally.
I don't.
Bozo.
He also might have kids, but still, yeah, I'm with you, Abba.
The one I want to read one more quote.
Yeah,
and
of course.
we can switch, but this is just kind of in response to a lot of these people who Tony Cruz, the people who talk about football is dead.
Yeah.
People criticizing people going to China, going to the Saudi League, making a lot of money, and Carlos Tevez, when he went to China, said one of the most insightful quotes I've ever seen from a player, and I didn't expect it from him. But
Who again?
he
sir?
said, Carlos Tevez.
Okay.
Boy.
He said, a lot of people criticize me because I went to China, but in reality, they don't know my story. He says, listen, I'll tell you something. When I went to Corinthians, it was before and after a moment in my career. But with the transfer to China, I earned a lot of money. But do you know what I did with it? I told my agent that I didn't want the money from me. I just wanted to buy 15 houses and get my family out of Puerto Apeche, which is probably where he's from in Argentina. He says, nobody knows this, but I'm trying to support 15 families, including my brothers, uncles, etc. If you start counting, that's like 60 people. Everything I did was because I want the new generation of Tevez's to be better, to have a good education and not go through what I went through. Tony Cruz has the nerve to comment, embarrassing.
I think
And yeah,
yeah.
That's
One
it
thing,
right there.
like
That's
one
the-
thing
that's
that
the
I was
mic
gonna
drop.
say. One thing that I was gonna say is I've spoken to people who would have considered themselves to be bullies or like reformed bullies before, like people who had a habit of picking on others and insulting others or whatever and just being mean. And listen, one thing that every bully or former bully will tell you is that they did it because of how they felt about themselves. If they called you ugly, it's because of how they felt about how they look. If they call you stupid, it's because of how they felt about their intellect. If they called you any insult, it's because they saw themselves as that and they didn't see it in you. So they felt like they had to project their insecurities on you. So I don't know Tony Cruz, and we could talk all day about this, but at the end of the day, if there's somebody out there who has a Tony Cruz in their life and who feels like someone, is watching you a little too closely and minding your business and trying to criticize the moves that you're making, it's most likely because of how they feel about themselves. It has nothing to do with you. So don't let that take away from your cup. Yeah. Keep refilling your cup and keep minding your business and doing what you got to do to elevate yourself. Don't worry about the Tony Cruzes of the world. They evaporate.
Going off of your Tevez quote real quick, I already know what Mane's about to do in his hometown. Bali's about to do in his hometown.
Mendy.
Mendy's about to do in his hometown. Neymar. But